factor this polynomial? Well, to factor this polynomial, let's first determine a correct factoring strategy to use. To do that, let's look back at our polynomial. Here we have a coefficient of 8, and here we have a coefficient of 18. Well, those two numbers have a common factor of 2. Here we have an x to the 7th, and here we have an x. Well, those have a common factor of x. Here we don't have a y, and here we have a y squared. So no common factors there. But I did hear two common factors, a 2 and an x. So let's first factor out a greatest common factor in this polynomial. So we'll factor out a greatest common factor of 2x, and we'll be left with 4x to the 6th minus 9y squared. Now let's look at factoring this polynomial. Well, we have a 4 and a 9. Both of those numbers we can take the square root of, and we get whole numbers. Now look at the degrees. We have a degree of 6 and a degree of 2. Those are both even numbers. That means that we can use the difference of squares in order to factor this polynomial. So let's do that. First, we need to look at our first term and determine the coefficient, variable, and degree of our term. Our first term has a coefficient of 4, a variable of x, and a degree of 6. Now we do the same thing with our second term. The coefficient of our second term is 9, the variable is y, and the degree is 2. Now we set up our difference of squares. We have two parentheses. One of them has an addition sign in the middle, and one has a subtraction sign. Now we need to figure out each one of these terms. Let's do the coefficients first. We need to take the square root of each of our original coefficients to get the coefficients of these terms. So let's take 4, the coefficient of our first term. We take the square root and get 2. So that's the coefficient in the first term in each one of our parentheses. Now we do the same thing with 9. We take the square root of 9 and get 3. 3 is the coefficient of our second term in each parenthesis. Now to get our variables, we look at the degree. Here we have a degree of 6. We divide it in half and get a degree of 3. So we take x to the third power in each one of our first terms. Then we take our degree of 2, divide that in half to get 1, and each one of our second terms has y to the first power. Now we fully factored this polynomial. But let's make sure that it's correct. So, in step number 4, let's check our answer. So we need to multiply together these two binomials and see if we get this polynomial. Well, we take 2x to the third times 2x to the third, and we get 4x to the 6th. Then we take 2x to the third times a minus 3y, and we get minus 6x to the third y. Then we take 3y times 2x to the third to get a plus 6x to the third y. Then we take 3y times minus 3y, and we get minus 9y squared. When we combine like terms, we have 4x to the 6th minus 9y squared. Hey, this is our polynomial that was originally in our parentheses, so we know that we factored it correctly. But this is not our answer. Remember, we first factored out a greatest common factor of 2x, so we need to remember to bring that down in our answer. We just write it out front, and now we have fully factored our original polynomial.